We're very honored at WJTS to have the Lieutenant Governor of Indiana, Sue Ellspermann, joining us on this edition of WJTS in.form. Lieutenant Governor, welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Bill.
It's good to have you back home.
Yes.
We don't often get to, you're such a busy schedule, we don't get a whole lot of time to speak with you, but we're glad that you stopped in the studios. And we're going to have even less time to talk with you because you're about to start a 92 county tour.
Yes, that's right.
Soon. What's that?
Well, you know, when you're a state rep, you have about 4 or 5 counties to cover. When you're lieutenant governor, you have 92 counties. And as the Secretary of Agriculture and Secretary of Rural Affairs, I thought it was very important that I get out and really get to understand every other county in Indiana, as I do Du Bois County and those surrounding counties that I had in my state rep role. So we started the tour 2 weeks ago. As soon as session ended, the following week, we're hitting 2 or 3 counties a week. Almost a day in every county with a meeting with elected officials, Democrat and Republican both, to hear the concerns that they have, what's working, what's not, and most importantly, how can the state be a better partner. And then meeting with business and agriculture to find out their concerns, and again, how can the state help them create jobs and grow. And then we hit a couple of interesting sites, like in Allen County and Fort Wayne. I got to go to the baseball field, the minor league Parkview field. So, you know, those are all interesting things to understand what makes each county tick. And then at the end, I will do a report back to the governor about the key learnings, key opportunities from each area of the state.
You know, and I would be hard-pressed to name 20 counties. And you've got to go to all 90. There's probably very few people in the state of Indiana that actually know all 92 counties, but by golly, you're going to.
By Thanksgiving, I will know them all, and that's how long it will take us to get through the 92 county tour. But it is called my Listen and Learn tour, and so I think it also surprises counties when I come in and hear them out versus trying to defend what the state's done or not done. It really is about learning and making sure that they're well represented, their points of views are being well represented at the State House.
What are some things that you hope to take away from this? What are some things that you think are going to surprise you?
Well, I'm already learning. I learned a new term this week when I was visiting Lake County and St. Joe County. They call Indianapolis downstate. And I thought that was very interesting, since I think we are really downstate down here. But that notion of disconnect, of them not feeling well appreciated in northern Indiana, and of course here in southwest Indiana, we have those moments as well where we feel like Indianapolis, the State House, doesn't hear us. So I think my takeaways are that each county is so different. They have unique challenges either in their business community. Some it is drugs and issues of that kind that they're concerned with. Some it is pure economic issues of attracting business, but everyone has some different concerns. The only common thing I've heard is those unfunded mandates. And sometimes we can be guilty at the state level as well. We think most of those come from our federal government, but there's times we force counties to do things that they have a tough time being able to take care of, like in the community corrections arenas.
That they're going to have to deal with because they have to come up with the money.
Yes.
They don't get funded from the state or federal. But you're right, it is mostly federal, I think, that causes most of those mandates. We have just ended the legislative session several weeks ago, and what are some highlights and some concerns that you took away from that?
Well, very pleased with where Indiana finished. Probably the big thing in the long session is the budget. So we passed a $30 billion budget biennial, 2 years, about $15 billion a year. But we kept strong reserves, over $2 billion in reserves. We were able to add funding to education, both K-12 and higher education, which is so critical. I think all would agree. We want to continue to really have strong education. And we added to much of the concern of the locals, and we were able to deliver, was more road funding. So the locals will see about $100 million more. That's about a 40% increase from the last time road funding was increased at the local level. And we're putting $400 million back over the 2 years into the Major Moves Trust Fund, if you will, for future investment. So good things there. But the best part is that we could still give Hoosiers a tax break. So we did the 5% income tax cut, as well as completely getting rid of the inheritance tax. As we had originally last year passed phasing it out, this year it's just gone. which is excellent for small businesses, farmers, and families to pass along their assets to the next generation. So I think Indiana will have had the largest tax cut possibly in the country, about $600 million cumulative when you add them all together of the things we're doing, without adding a tax somewhere else. So some states are playing with reducing income tax, but then they're increasing sales tax. So it's a, whack-a-mole, is what I call it.
Right.
But we really, I think we're the envy of the nation still, that we have strong enough revenues coming in and a lean state budget, which I think is what most Hoosiers appreciate in Indiana, that we really do treat taxpayer money like it was ours, that we should only take in as much as we need and the rest should stay in the local economy.
Now, we are fortunate to live in Indiana because we're doing so well. Maybe the weather sometimes plays with our minds a little bit too much, but is Indiana really doing that well?
Well, I will tell you that chief executives across the country in their Chief Executive magazine rated Indiana #1 in the Midwest and #5 in the country for business climate. And that is phenomenal. And it's so important as we go to attract new jobs to Indiana and encourage folks to stay here. I'll be in Bloomington Wednesday to try to attract one of those large high-tech companies to the state, and we just see lots of interest in Indiana because of the business-friendly culture we've created over now 8 or 9 years, and we're going to continue that.
This past election, when politicians were running, the Governor Pence and you and your office and a lot of representatives and state senators, probably all of them, even on local levels, were really running on jobs. Indiana seems to be doing really well. Is Indiana really doing that well?
Well, I can tell you that by the rankings that we just received most recently from Chief Executive magazine, which are those folks who are making those decisions on where to put their jobs, they ranked Indiana as #1 in the Midwest, the only Midwest state to be in the top rankings, and #5 in the country. That's very impressive, and that helps us to really be out and able to recruit new companies to Indiana. So I think, yes, I think we still need to do more. We're not happy with unemployment where it is. We know there's a mismatch in our skills of our workforce. So legislation passed this year, like the Indiana Careers Council and Indiana Works Councils, are about making sure that we have the right skills for the jobs and helping encourage the programs and the development of, and encouraging right people to go into those jobs so that there will be relatively full employment here and with the jobs of the future, the high-tech jobs of the future. So that's probably one other thing I would add in our administration. We have money in the budget and are moving forward with several initiative strategies that will attract those innovation-based jobs in the biosciences, in food and agriculture innovation, to make sure that we have high-tech jobs, not just jobs, but those that pay the kind of wages that would sustain a good middle-class or better family.
And one thing to help do that is Vincennes University Jasper has just had the open house for the new CTIM, Center for Technology, Innovation, and Manufacturing.
Right.
And you were there.
I was, and I'm very supportive. Governor and I see that as exactly the right thing. Very supportive of Vincennes University for keeping their foot on the gas to get that done. And I know that that center happened because of the strong support of Du Bois County businesses and the local trustees, making sure that we were preparing this county and those that feed the jobs in this county for the future. So very excited about that. And I think they're going to do some great programming, not just in things like advanced manufacturing, but innovation and entrepreneurship and STEM and Project Lead the Way, all good programs to help ensure that our young people are exposed to the good possibilities for their careers and that our local businesses have a good workforce.
Okay, now you've been a lieutenant governor for about 3-4 months. 4 months, I guess now.
Yes.
What surprises you the most?
You know, it is there's a lot of variety to the job. I thought as a state rep, you had a lot more problems to deal with and opportunities to deal with than you did in the private sector. But I tell you what, as lieutenant governor, I can go from a meeting on tourism to economic development to some award ceremony to, gosh, I don't know. You know, it's just the range of my day is different every day. But what an honor it is. it's a great opportunity, and I try not to miss it, whether I'm talking to fourth graders who come through my office because they're studying Indiana history. So I see a lot of groups of fourth graders, and I get to take that opportunity to encourage them into the jobs of the future, to study hard, to stay away from video games and read and all those good things that that you just have the platform to do. And I think that's been maybe the aha, is just what a good platform it is to encourage our young people into those good careers of the future and to keep their nose in those books, keep learning. We need them to.
Because we need them for the future.
We do.
Well, Lieutenant Governor, thank you very much for being with us.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill.
Our guest has been Sue Ellspermann. She is the Lieutenant Governor for Indiana, a resident of Ferdinand, Indiana. We are so pleased that she was able to stop by and visit with us on 18 WJTS. We are local people watching local people.